Albert AWOL, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. This episode of Welcome Home is brought to you by DVC Rental Store. Thank you for joining us on episode 261 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom, here with Trevor.
Hey.
What's going on, Trevor?
Not much. How's your morning going so far?
Oh my gosh. I bought a car today.
You bought a car?
Yeah, I bought a car. Well, yeah. So my wife's car is a couple of years old, right? But it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, right? Because used cars are so valuable right now, like the dealership offered me like a crazy amount of money to turn in the old car and get a new car. So I was like, I'll take advantage of that and get myself a nice hybrid and get a new car. And, because her car wasn't a hybrid and, it's an SUV. So we got a nice little hybrid. And now we're going to take that for our drive down to Disney. So
that's cool. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a fair point. I guess I'm driving like a 15-year-old car. So at this point, I'm pretty much just driving my car into the ground anyway.
Yes.
So.
Well, it was just one of those things where it was like, they're going to give me a lot of money for a car that's 3 years old. Okay. Why not take advantage of that? And there was like a bunch of specials and, all that kind of fun stuff. So I was like, okay, well, this makes sense financially. So I'm just going to do it. But it's such a pain to buy a car. I don't know if it's the same way in Canada, but the absurd amount of paperwork. I mean, it's just
we replaced my wife's car 2 years ago, and it was the same thing. Like we had to do the trade-in stuff. We had to do like you said, it's negotiating all the the perks and making sure that you've got like warranty and stuff. And
to your point, Trevor. So I went into, you go into like the finance guy's room and then they try to sell you like the maintenance package or whatever. Right. Mm-hmm. So I walk in and I'm like, listen, it's like, I've already been here for 2 hours. I don't want the maintenance package. I don't want anything, any extended warranty. I don't want any of it. Just don't even offer it to me. And he's like, well, I have to go over it anyway. And I'm like, okay, fine. But just know I'm not going to do it.
We kind of did the same thing. Of course, they do the same thing here where they offer like all kinds of extended things. But so I guess the big differences up here is that we care about making sure that the car has like rust protection coating on it. And that kind of plays into the warranty
like all the salt and everything.
Yeah. So there's that. And then making sure that it has a block heater is actually
important too.
Yeah, which most dealerships like they assume you want a block heater, and that like it's usually not a discussion point. But I've actually had a couple where it was like, so there's a block heater in this, right? And they're like, no, like that'll cost you like extra money. It's like, okay, come on, we're living in Canada.
It should be standard equipment.
Yeah, winter requires block heaters. Like you don't.
That's funny. That's not a consideration I have. But it's funny down here because I one time I drove up back to New Jersey when it was snowing, and they were like, oh well, you have an SUV, it's 4-wheel drive, right? I'm like, no. It was like, why would I buy a 4-wheel drive vehicle down here? I have no use for 4-wheel drive. Like, there's no snow. I just have no need for 4-wheel drive. But
not backroading or anything.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah. Like what's the point of spending the money for 4-wheel drive when I don't need it? But I listen, I know this isn't really about Disney at all, but it kind of is because I'm about to make a long drive to Disney in a few days here. So,
this is a good segue into your trip preview, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. But I mean, no, but also it just was like, it's also just like, how is there still this much paper? It's 2024, man. Like, it's like, how is there still so much paper? Like, how is not everything done on an iPad?
Digital signatures are a thing.
Some of it was that, to be fair, some of it was done that way, but a lot of it was, still me signing my name 1,000 times. But so anyway, so that was my morning. And I do have a trip coming up here, which, I think I've been talking to you about this, Trevor, where I don't feel like I have a trip coming up, in a couple days. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, usually there was all of this, it's not that we didn't plan anything, but like it felt like the planning used to be more intense than it is now. Because you used to have like all the fast pass stuff and like, I mean, I don't know. It feels
the Disney specific stuff felt a lot more involved, whereas it was like, I kind of get you. Like when we planned our trip, it was like, oh, we got our flights booked, we got hotel, and it was like, okay, like that's it. Like
that's
it didn't,
ready to go.
Yeah. So you're having the same feeling. Do you feel prepared? I guess is my question to you.
Absolutely.
Do you think you're ready?
I found my magic bands. Okay, there's one thing. So I don't know if anybody else does this. I'm a little bit how can I put this in a nice way? I tend to forget things, right? So as the week goes on, I have just like a list on my phone of all the things I need to not forget. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like just like okay, well you need because I'm driving to my mom's first. My mom lives about an hour and a half from Disney, so I talked about this on the show before. So we're driving to my mom's first on Friday, and then we're gonna stay overnight there, get up early, drive to the resort, drop the car off, hop on a Disney bus, and go to Magic Kingdom for the day. And then, wait for my sister-in-law and brother-in-law and their kids to get in, which I think they're getting in early too. So they're going to join us at Magic Kingdom. And then we have like an early dinner reservation. But, you got to remember things like they've got tolls on the Florida highway from my mom's to Disney. So I got to remember the toll tag, because I literally, you're going to laugh at this, but I just got tired of, we go down there so often now. I got tired of paying the tolls by mail. And so like, cause they would just bill me. They would just send me a thing in the mail, and I would pay just based off my license plate. But I was like, why don't I just buy one of the tags and,
like a Sun Pass or something like that, right?
Yeah. Well, They have one called a Unipass. I think it's Unipass, and it works on like every toll thing. So every place that has like the toll tags, it works for every single one of them. So I was like, let me get that. So, cause you can even pay for parking at Port Canaveral too with the tag. So I was like, okay, well, this would be convenient. It would be, for my cruise and for, whenever I'm down in Florida. And then also if I drive up north too, I can also use this anywhere where there's those kinds of things. So, but anyway, like it's stuff like that, that I feel like I'm going to forget, that I can't necessarily just go and get while I'm down there. So yeah, I'm a big list person. I don't know if you make lists, but I like a good checklist before vacation.
We have a spreadsheet that I like every trip I checklist everything. And, my wife and I are both on board with it, but yeah, I'm more obsessive about it than she is. Like I will look at it like 20 times before the trip just to make sure. Right. Like I get you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cause I'm also one of those people that like, after I'm done packing and like as we're pulling out the door, I'm like, there's definitely something I forgot. I know I forgot something. I'm sure I forgot something. There has to be something. You know what I mean? It's just like in my head, I always feel like I forgot something. I also am an overpacker as well, which is fine for us because we're driving, right? Like it's a little bit more difficult for you for flying because you have to keep your bags to a minimum. I can like, it's like, do I really need 5 extra shirts for 5 extra days that we're going to be there? Probably not. But I want to have them for some reason. Like, it's just, I don't know. That's just me. I tend to overpack.
It's comfort, right? Yeah, no, but we do the same thing. Like we don't bring like an extra week's worth of clothes, but we do definitely always pack extras of clothes for the same reasons as like, if something happened down there and I need to go back to the resort and change, I don't want to be like, having to do a bunch of laundry in the middle of my trip because I ran out of clothes, right? Like exactly. That's my take on it. And I get that. It's a safety thing, right? Like making sure you have enough of what you need when you're away from home.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and like, listen, I'm not going to be that far from home, but I'm also not turning around and driving 7 hours for something that I may need or may have forgotten. So like, that's, not going to happen. So yeah, I mean, so that's a lot of it right now is that kind of stuff is just kind of getting ourselves in the mindset of this. And part of it too is, we're leaving on Friday morning. And truthfully, we don't need to get to my mom's early, but, we probably want to get on the road as early as we can, try to avoid some traffic and so we can stop a little bit and not feel like we're getting in too late. But, at the same time, it's like my wife and I are working all week up until Friday, right? So it's like you got to do stuff at night or, and it's, other things too. Like, we're bringing the dog with us because the dog's going to stay with my mom. And, my dog doesn't do well in the car. So we got to get the drugs that, knock him out, So like, that's a whole thing. And then, we got to order more treats for him. So he's more treat. It's just, it's trying to remember all this stuff. And I'm sure I'm not alone in this. I'm sure everybody deals with these things as they're going and probably frets about it more than they should. Right. And I guess that maybe that's why I feel oddly unprepared for the trip. I don't know. But yeah, maybe just because I haven't done anything yet. Maybe like once I start like packing bags and such, I will. And also we typically order our food through Amazon, right? Through Amazon, was it Amazon Fresh or whatever?
Yep.
And I think you could, and maybe I'm wrong about this. Someone tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I can only schedule that 3 days out. So I haven't ordered any food yet. So that's also giving me a small amount of anxiety as well. But I mean, again, I can do that 3 days out. So
really, it's only 3 days because I know Instacart let me do like a week out, I think, when I did Instacart. It's been a while, but
maybe they do. Maybe I have to go and look again. But I saw only options for 3 days ahead of where I was. Maybe there's like a link that says more dates or something, and I just missed it.
Oh, yeah, maybe. And maybe that's just Amazon. Yeah, they don't want to have you booking stuff. And funny enough, that's actually why the service that I used on this last trip, I like them because I booked them like a month ahead.
That's nice, yeah.
Yeah,
that is
so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing Amazon just for the ease of use. You know what I mean? Like I already have an Amazon account. I can just do it on the app on my phone. It's just easy.
Yeah, and I guess that saves you on delivery too, right? Because they don't, or because it's Prime. Yeah, that's fair.
And I'm also, we've been kind of debating a little bit, and I would be interested to see what people think of this. So since we are driving down that morning, part of me thinks to myself, why don't we just go straight to Magic Kingdom, right? And like just have the car in the Magic Kingdom parking lot. But part of me is also like, I like to kind of get started in the bubble right away. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to go park my car. I want to take all the stuff out of it. Even though I won't have a room yet. And like, I can just leave it in my car. I'd prefer not to leave it in my car. Right. Just because, and no one's going to like break into my car and steal my stuff. But like, but
I wouldn't actually write that off as a possibility because people do have stuff stolen at Disney, and that's fair. Like you're right. I would not, or again, this is just me. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm there with you that I would not feel comfortable leaving my car full of all of my stuff
exactly
at Magic Kingdom. Like,
I agree with
I get you. Yeah, that's fair.
and I also do like it's almost like people used to feel this way, and I mean I guess you can still kind of feel this way, but it was like almost like that thing with the Magical Express where it was like, okay, now I'm on the bus, it's Disney time, we're here, we're in the bubble, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like
the transition from real life to Disney life.
exactly, and that's kind of why I want to like drive to the resort first, drop the car off, drop the bags off. You just park. I'm sure I've done this before where we just left our car in the parking lot there, right? We're resort guests. Why not? And then we'll hop on a bus and go from there. And so I think that's what we're going to do. I'm interested to see if people think I'm crazy though. And it's like, why don't you just drive to Magic Kingdom? I prefer, even though I have my car on property, I prefer not to drive. I find it easier to deal with the buses.
Okay. I'm going to try and reinforce your thought here because I'm going to bring in I'm going to introduce you to Future You.
Oh no.
Okay? So Future You is the guy who at the end of your day at Magic Kingdom, do you really want to be leaving Magic Kingdom, have to get in your car, get out of Magic Kingdom, get to your hotel, then unpack all your stuff after you've done a whole day at Magic Kingdom?
Absolutely not.
Exactly. So Future You will thank you for going to the resort first and getting on the bus.
Yeah. I agree with you. And plus, I mean, it's also too just the wear and tear on your feet too. Like everybody's feet hurt at the end of the day. I don't care who you are. Like everybody's feet hurt at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And so there's a big difference between walking to the buses, which are right at the exit of the park, and having to walk all the way to whatever parking spot I'm in. I will say too, one time we drove to Hollywood Studios to rope drop, and this was without my daughter. So that's a key part of this. It was all adults, right? So we drove to Hollywood Studios, got there for rope drop, did Rise of the Resistance, right? All that stuff. And we just left my car at Hollywood Studios for the day, and we ended up going to going to Epcot, right? And we watched the whatever the nighttime show was at Epcot, right? And the car was still at Hollywood Studios, and so we go to get on the Skyliner, and they're like, "Oh, like Skyliner closes in like 10 minutes." I'm like, "What now?" Like they're like, "Yeah, well, and, because we had to get on it and then do the transition at Caribbean Beach at the big station." Mm-hmm. And so they were like, "Oh, well, the Skyliner's closing in like 10 minutes." And I'm like, "Oh God, what are we going to do?"
How do we get there from Caribbean? I mean, there should be a bus from Caribbean Beach.
Well, actually, I don't know if there is. It ended up working out, right? Yeah. Like they kept it open, right? And we got there in time, but it was like, do I want that anxiety? It's kind of nice to know is like Disney transportation always has me covered in some way, shape, or form, right? So yeah, that's just one consideration, but I'd be interested to see what other people think, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that fly that are like, I'd kill to have a car there. I don't know.
I'll be honest. I fly. I have zero desire to have a vehicle at Disney. It's for me. It's one less thing to worry about.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Because especially if it's it's always going to be a rental if you're flying, right? So that's sure. I got to make sure that I can return the rental, or else they're going to charge me more and all that. But it's also, like you said, I very much agree with the whole Disney transportation bubble, and trusting that when I'm done my day, I know I can get on a bus, ferry, monorail, whatever, and I can get back to my room, and that's it. Like exactly. you don't have to oh, now I got to find my car. Now I got to get out of here. Like it's and that's not, again, I'm not discounting. People use the cars all the time, and it's great when it's like, hey, I just want to leave in the middle of the day and I don't have to deal with transportation. You can move around a lot more freely. I'm willing to sacrifice that for the convenience of, knowing that somebody else is taking care of the driving. Right.
No, I totally agree with that. I like the idea of just, hopping on the bus and not having to deal with car seats, and, it's easy.
So you said you have a dinner reservation the first day, right?
Yeah. So I should probably actually go into my trip and just talking about conceptual things here.
Well, I mean, we were taking care of future you, because future you is going to appreciate. You're going to think about this when you get back to your hotel room that first night and be like, yeah, I'm glad we did that.
And I'm going to give myself a self high five, just give me
exactly.
Okay. So just the basics of what's going on here. So I'm going to be at Disney from May 4th to May 11th. So that's a Saturday to a Saturday. And I totally forgot, by the way, when I was booking the whole
Star Wars
Star Wars. I didn't even think about it. Like, it just wasn't a thought. So I'm like, let's stay away from Hollywood Studios, because that's going to be a hot mess. Which we weren't going to anyway. We were of course we always like to kind of start with Magic Kingdom, right? So initially, when we made our dining reservations, we had thought that everybody was getting in later that day, right? So our plans were just, my family was going to go to Magic Kingdom by ourselves and just kind of do whatever. And then, so I scheduled an early dinner thinking that, okay, people are going to get in early afternoon. We'll go over to Disney Springs since we're at Saratoga. And we'll have a nice little early dinner, get ourselves settled in our room, whatever. Right. Turns out my brother and sister-in-law, their flight got rescheduled to much earlier, or they had to reschedule. I don't know the story behind it, but all of a sudden now they're not coming in early afternoon. They're coming in super early in the morning. Right. So they're going to be like in Orlando, maybe even earlier than we are, depending on how quickly we get up and get ourselves together and drive out of there. So now they're like, well, we're going to come to Magic Kingdom too. It was like, okay, that's fine. But now we have a 4:30 dinner reservation. It's like, okay, so, I mean, they're going to be tired anyway. Everyone's going to be tired,
Yeah.
So
that's my favorite time for dinner reservations, by the way. 4:30.
4:30? Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's before everybody else gets in there, and So where are you going?
So going to Homecoming, which is one of our favorites in Disney Springs, and we haven't been to in a while. And shockingly, I was able to get a reservation for 8 people there, which is because this is another, wrinkle. We have never had a group this big, right? Mm-hmm. Like this is the biggest we've ever had. And it's, like I said, it's 8 people. And so I think you talked about it on the show, and this conversation on the show actually changed my vacation for real, where we were going to all stay in a grand villa. And then we decided to break it out into two bedrooms. And we were supposed to have 10 people, but unfortunately, part of our party couldn't join us. So we ended up now, it's just my wife, my daughter, and I in a 2-bedroom, which feels like too much, but there's nothing I can really do about it at this point. But it's fine.
Yeah, I think, having your daughter having her own room is not the worst thing.
No, I agree. Trust, we had that whole kind of conversation about the master bedroom thing. Now we get the master. So there you go. Which is nice. So we're doing homecoming at Disney Springs on Saturday, which was originally just going to be like a whatever day, right? So now we're going to do dinner. We'll probably go back to our rooms, get ourselves settled. I don't know if we'll go back out to the parks or not. Maybe we'll see. We are going to. My daughter just turned 6 last weekend. And so we are going to try to get her to stay out later this trip. Our plans this trip are to take midday breaks when it's the hottest, because it's going to be in the 90s, and then try to go back out at night and see if we can get her to see fireworks. Maybe we can do a Phantasmic, that kind of deal. So we're going to try to do that. I don't know how it's going to go. My daughter usually passes out by like 7:30, but if we give her the break midday, I'm hopeful that we can make it work. So we might try to do it that first night, just because it'll be like she'll have the most amount of energy, right? Like the cumulative effects of the Disney vacation will not have taken place yet. So anyway, so then Sunday, we're going to be at EPCOT on Sunday, and I actually booked a lunch for EPCOT. Oddly enough. Mostly because I thought we could do a lunch, and then we could, walk around Flower and Garden, have some of the, the fare there, in the afternoon if we get hungry. But it's actually, I got Space 220, which we've done once, and we really loved. It's expensive. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it is, but it is worth it, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. And you're like, listen, we got 3 kids with us. Like, it's going to blow their minds to be in space,
Totally.
Yeah, 100% going to blow their minds. So I was actually, again, I was shocked that I could get a reservation for 8 people at Space 220. And I'm hoping this just speaks to the general lack of crowds at the parks the week I'm going to be there. And, from everything I've heard, the early May, actually just all through May, is just dead, right?
Yeah, we did do one trip in May, and we found it was relatively quiet there too. This was back in 2018, so yeah.
I think it still holds true. Yeah. Because I've been looking at crowd calendars. I also, I don't know if you ever looked at thrilldata.com. I like that website, but
I've checked it out a couple of times.
Yeah, they're cool, right? And so they're saying that during that week, it's like basically resort wide average wait times are half hour, and I'm like, that's excellent. Like I will take that, right? Yeah. So that's EPCOT on that day. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to wander around Flower and Garden, to grab some random stuff, I'm sure, outside of Space 220. So, that should be fun. And then Monday we are back to Magic Kingdom. I think we're going to go to Magic Kingdom many times this trip, because again, we have a lot of young kids, right?
Yeah.
So, but again, we also like going to Magic Kingdom. So we are doing one of our old standbys that we do literally every trip, and that would be Crystal Palace. We're going to do breakfast at Crystal Palace.
And I knew you were going to say that. Like, you didn't even tell me any of this before. I was like, no. You are going to Crystal Palace. I was just trying to figure out when. We've been to Crystal Palace a lot, but my daughter's favorite character is Eeyore. She loves Eeyore, and Crystal Palace is great. I love Crystal Palace. The atmosphere is great. The character interactions there are great. And honestly, the food that we've had there has been very good. I mean, what we're doing for all of the character meals this trip, they're all breakfast, right? And part of the reason I wanted to do that is A, to get that done in the beginning of the day, B, because it's cheaper, right? Like, it's cheaper to do breakfast, and C, because I feel like breakfast is less difficult to screw up than dinner, right? So absolutely. Yeah. It's a lot easier to get everybody on board with it, because bacon and eggs and hash browns and like
Mickey waffles, right? It's
standard fare. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that one.
Yeah, and that to me, like every time we've done a breakfast buffet at Disney, it's always been pretty good, right? Like it's because, like I said, I mean they do a decent job with that. And then dinner buffets can be hit or miss, right? And they're more expensive, and it's why not just do breakfast, right?
Well,
yeah,
and because your party is so big, right? There is different tastes and whatnot, and as much as buffets or buffet or family style stuff is great. There is sometimes, like you said, there's places where, there may be one person that doesn't like anything on the menu. Right.
Yeah.
And exactly. You're avoiding that with this is smart. This is very smart to
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to be smart about this. So we have that. We also have that day. My nephew is going to get his first haircut at the Harmony Barbershop. So, which we wanted to do with my daughter, but it was ruined by COVID. So like my daughter we were going to go in 2020 and get it done there. But then, COVID just kind of ruined that. So, but now my nephew's doing it. So that should be kind of cool. Cause like I said, I haven't really seen that before. So it's going to be,
you get to live vicariously.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny because I feel like most people don't even know that barbershop exists. Like, because it's so like hidden in like that little.
I kind of know where it is. I will like I know it's there, but in my head I'm like I can't actually like acknowledge where it is.
Yeah,
right.
Like you've never walked by the door of Harmony Barbershop before, probably. Right. Like you probably never walked by that door.
Yeah, because it's like you said, it's literally shoved in a corner.
Yeah.
Is it on the side by the firehouse or by Tony's?
I believe it's by the firehouse, right?
Okay,
I feel like I should know this.
I think I know where it is, but yeah, that's the problem. It's in a weird like I don't know, like nether space or something like that.
It feels like it shouldn't exist because so it's right by the firehouse. It's like directly to the left of the Emporium, but again, it's not a spot that you would walk by, right? Like it's just you would make a hard right at the firehouse, right? Like and head towards Main Street, right? Like it's not a place you would commonly even know would know was there unless you really looked, right? So yeah, so I mean I'm excited for them for that. I think that's going to be a cool thing.
It's a good reason for you to go and experience it, right? Like it's great that they're having it, but I love when stuff like that happens, and this is why going with going with people that have never gone before. It's like, oh, you get to like experience something through their eyes too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Yeah, and I it's funny too because we have a lot of friends too that they're like, well, I've been to Disney before, but we really want to go with you guys because we know that you guys will give us the real experience. So it's like
you're the fun ones.
Yeah. Well, you guys will take us to the things that we didn't know existed, So, yeah. All right. So then Tuesday we're doing Animal Kingdom. And we're doing Tusker House for breakfast, which I've actually never eaten at Tusker House before. So this will be a new experience, a wholesale new experience for us. We've never done their lunch, dinner, breakfast, nothing.
Mm-hmm. But their breakfast is pretty like it'll be similar, like you were saying, to the other places. Like it'll have the same kind of stuff offered. I know Tusker House dinner has some unique food to it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how much of that's going to carry over, or if there'll be some different stuff at breakfast. I want to hear your thoughts on this when you get back.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, listen, I will still say, and I've eaten at this place many times. I think a lot of people that, frequent Animal Kingdom Lodge will tell you that the best breakfast buffet on property is at Boma, which if you haven't done that before, Trevor, you should make your way over to Boma.
I will convince my wife to go over there because it's
it's that breakfast buffet is amazing. So if there's anything that's even close to that in Tusker House, great. I mean, again, I say this all the time and it's true, right? If you're doing character dining, you're not really there for the food, right? Like you're not paying $45 a head, for the food. You're paying for the experience of the characters, the memories you're going to have. Like the food is great that it's there, but
I mean, the food's not bad, but you're right.
Exactly.
You're paying for the overall, not just the food. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we are headed back to Magic Kingdom on Wednesday. And part of the reason why is because it's like crazy dead that day. So it's supposed to be very low crowds that day. So, but we decided we were going to do dinner at an old favorite that we haven't been to in a while. And if you can guess it, I'll give you $1. I'm just kidding. It's it's Ohana. We have not been into Ohana in years, and we love Ohana. Ohana is one of our favorites. But it has been a very long time since we've been. I mean, it's probably been. I don't think my daughter's ever been there, so it's been at least 7 years since we've been to Ohana.
Oh,
but
wow. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe less. Maybe we had it one time with, I don't know, but it's been a long time. And like I said, I love Ohana. I think Ohana is one of the best values of all the Disney restaurants, because the amount of food that you get there, like before they even get to the meats, you're already full from all the stuff that got there before.
Yeah.
Like seriously, right? And I don't know how you feel about Ohana. I know it's in the Poly, so it's, your favorite place, but I don't know if you guys ever frequent Ohana or not.
We do breakfast at Ohana. So we like,
that's fair. Yeah.
Kind of like you, is like, we go there for breakfast because it is like, being at the resort, it's the easiest to get to for a breakfast reservation. Like it's good, but the hard part is I don't want to eat there, only because of the fact that it's like, because it is so convenient, and I don't want to just default to, we'll just go to Ohana because, and it's not because it's, it's you're right. It's very good, but there's so many other places that I want to go to. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. We might try to sneak our way into Trader Sam's before it goes adult only, which I think is at like 8:00 or something like that. But maybe we'll go before Ohana. I don't know. We're going to we're really going to play this trip by ear a lot. We're really going to, kind of be relaxed about it, and just kind of do the trip as it comes to us, So outside of the dining reservations, the next day is
that's great. I was just gonna say that's great because it'll save you on the larger group not trying to like hurt people, right?
Well, and that's really like, I don't want to say it's the problem with a larger group, but like you need to go in, and my wife and I have talked about this a bunch of times. We need to go in with the expectations of, we're not always going to spend time together, right? Like as a group, right? Like if there's something that we want to go do and they don't want to do, we have to be okay with splitting up and meeting up later. Like, because you just can't. Absolutely. You're not going to make everybody happy in that big of a group if you're staying together constantly, right? And it just, it's great that we're doing a whole family vacation together, but it's also good for all of us to do what we want to do at times, right? And since their kids are a little bit younger than my daughter, and my daughter's going to do different things this trip, we're going to do, Big Thunder Mountain and some other things like that. And those kids are not tall enough for that stuff. So, it's going to be a little bit different like that, but I mean, it's going to be fine. I'm excited for it. It's just going to be different because like I said, we've never traveled with a group that big, and my wife and I are kind of just used to like, all right, we're ready to go. Let's go. You know what I mean? And you can't do that with big groups.
And it'll also save you on the stress of, you're in the position of, they're looking at you, like you said, they're looking at you as like, oh, you're the expert and whatever. Right. And if you guys are together all the time, you become the tour guide.
Yeah. I don't want that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But anyway,
so next day is supposed to be a pool day. I say supposed to, it's going to be a pool day. Our original plans were for all of the adults, meaning my sister-in-law, brother-in-law, my wife, and I, to go out to a nice dinner that night and have somebody watch the kids while we go out to a nice dinner because it's a pool day. I don't know if that's happening or not. We're going to figure that one out as it gets closer, because the people that were supposed to come with us, my in-laws, were supposed to come with us, but were unable to. They were going to watch the kids for us, and now they're not coming. So we kind of have to figure that one out still. But we're going to try to make it happen. But if we can do adult dinner, we're going to do California Grill. I've got 4 of us for California Grill. Towards the nighttime, we're not going to try to catch the fireworks. That's a hard resi to get, to get it around the fireworks. And plus, it's just too late, I think, because we'll have
and it's too busy too, right? Yeah. Like it just gets really busy when people want to watch the fireworks.
I agree, and honestly, California Grill, we again, it's another one that we haven't been to in a long time, and we love California Grill. I mean, that's kind of was one of our go-tos for a nice dinner. If we wanted to have a nice couple dinner, it was that. We would do Citricos. Every once in a while, when you do Narcoossee's, like, you know, those are kind of the ones that we really frequented when we wanted to have like a nice dinner between the two of us, you know, which we can't have anymore because, you know, we have a 6-year-old. So like, but before pre child.
I'm making mental note of you saying all this because, you know, you're referring to, you know, places that you went a long time ago that you have fond memories of. I'm curious how you're going to feel about them now because things have changed, obviously, over the years for
of course.
multiple reasons. And, you know, I'm not saying that you're going to have a bad time in any of these places. I'm just curious what your experience is going to be when you get back. So I'm just kind of making mental notes here.
I mean, listen, I the one that is, I think maybe is changed. I mean, Ohana at one point had made quite a few changes, but I feel like they backtracked on those and went back to what they were doing before. But you know, California Grill has always had a rotating menu, right? So that's not going to shock me. But you know, to do Crystal Palace is pretty much the same. Space 220 will probably just be a little bit different, just because it's a different menu and stuff like that. But yeah, so hopefully we're going to do that. And then Friday, which is technically our last day, but checkout day Saturday. But our last, I don't want to say it's our last park day. It's our last park day for most of the party. For my wife, my daughter, and I, it is not our last park day. But Friday, we're going to go back to EPCOT, and we're going to do breakfast at your favorite restaurant to pronounce it, EPCOT, Akershus.
Akershus.
Akershus. However you say it, I don't care. Yeah, the one with the princesses. Okay.
Yes.
So we did this one many years ago, like maybe 10 years ago. Like we just did it to do it. You know, like with my wife and I, because you know it's kind of awkward. You're just two adults there, and the princesses are coming up to your table, right? But we did it just to do it, right?
Okay, I know you feel awkward about it, but people do that all the time. It's
really they do.
Not unusual.
No, 100% they do. And I'm not judging anybody that does that because, like I said, we did it. So, but I thought about it for this one because, you know, my daughter and my niece are very into princesses, right? So, and like I actually told my daughter, I was like, hey, you know, one of the meals that we're going to have, it's good. There's, you know, how I told her, it's like, you know, how Eeyore comes to the table, like at the one restaurant. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, all the princesses are going to come to the table. And she like literally shrieked. Like she was so excited about this. So again, we're doing breakfast there. So that's, again, going to be an interesting one. All these breakfasts are really early in the morning too. They're like, you know, 8:30, but we're going to be there anyway, because all the kids get up at 6 o'clock in the morning anyway. I've been laughing though, because one of the things it says is Norwegian waffles on the menu, and I'm like, what constitutes a Norwegian waffle? Like,
I would be curious to hear that as well.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what that's going to be like, because when we did it for dinner, and it was like, you know, they peppered in a little bit of Norwegian food there, but they obviously figured out a while ago that not everybody wants to eat all Norwegian food, so you know, It was a lot of like American type food, but it's going to be interesting. I'm very excited for my daughter to get, you know, to be with all the princesses. I think she's going to really like freak out at that. So she's going to be very excited. Yeah. So that's all of the meals we have planned. And then Saturday, most of our party will be flying out. My daughter, wife, and I will still be around because, again, we're going back to my mom's house an hour and a half away. So truthfully, we can spend the entire day doing parks and then hop in the car and drive to her house, which is probably what we're going to do. We'll probably spend most of the day, you know, my wife and I always did. And I don't know how, Trevor, if you guys used to do this, but like the last day that we had, it was always like, what do you want to do again? You know, or what did we not do that we wanted to do? You know,
it's not even like the last day. We actually have like the last 2 to 3 days will be that like we'll kind of decide on like, oh, you know, I really want to go back to Epcot, or I really want to go back to, you know, Animal Kingdom or Magic Kingdom for whatever reason. Right. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get that. Is you know, you kind of add a buffer on to the end exactly for what you're talking about, is to just, you know, go and redo things and just, you know, spend more time doing the things you enjoy. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so that's really kind of what the plans are. But, you know, we're going to have to, you know, we'll see. Like I said, we're going to play a lot of this trip by ear. So, okay. But yeah, so I think that's my trip report. I don't think I forgot anything. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward trip for me. But, of course, we're going to order food and all that stuff. I just don't know how this trip is going to go with, like, the kids' level of energy, right? Like, I don't know how that is going to go down. So, like, I can't plan for that.
And that's part of it, too, is, you're talking about, like, planning for, you guys aren't going to be together and whatnot, is that, you may turn on a dime, or you may, like, I know you have a lot of these dinner reservations, but you may pull the plug on them, because depending on how your kids are on any particular day, it's like, let's not force the issue. And, we kind of did the same thing on the last couple of trips, where it was like, we really sat down and looked at it, and it was like, okay, we were supposed to go to, this reservation this day. And we talk, and the only thing I'll say is, make sure you talk about it like the day before, like leading up to it, and don't, because, you can cancel dinner reservations like 24 hours ahead, right?
Well, it's actually less. I think it's 2 hours now. I think they reduced that. Yeah.
Okay. So that's even better. But like we would always talk about it like the day leading up to it and be like, are we still good on this? Like, do we want to do that? And then, if we all voted it's like, no, we don't actually want to do that. Then I was like, okay, cancel that. And I guess, yeah, you can cheat, even if you're coming up on your, within the window, you could reschedule your reservation and then cancel it.
Yeah, so they moved it to 2 hours. Yeah, so now it's cancel all the way up until 2 hours, which is great that they did that.
And yeah, that way, like you said, the fact that you've got so many kids with you, I get that, this all looks great on paper, but we also know that the reality is, kids are going to kind of tell you when you've had enough, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to be hot, right? Like, so the kids are going to be miserable. But the good thing is, well, like I said, we're going to try to probably take breaks midday, like when it's the hottest, like, 2-3 o'clock. And then like, hang out for a little bit in the room and just do whatever. And then maybe head back out again, or maybe not. I mean, again, that's also another thing too, is like, I think my wife and I will probably head back out with my daughter at night, because I really want my daughter to experience the parks at night. Like I just
totally,
yeah, like, it's a whole different place.
Like,
all of it.
Dude,
though.
you I know, but you are going to love EPCOT at night. I guarantee it. Like
I want to see that.
Yeah, like me and my wife and my son actually spent a lot of time just standing in the courtyard area by Spaceship Earth, because it's worth it. Like, make sure your daughter gets to see that.
Well, and listen, there's some other stuff too. I mean, we haven't done the Moana thing yet. I'm looking forward to my daughter's going to do that. My daughter loves Moana. So they have a Moana meet and greet now. So to get to meet Moana, it's going to blow her mind.
And it's a water park, which will save you from the heat. So, plan that for like the afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited for my trip. I'm excited to go to some restaurants we haven't gone to in a while. It'll be nice to spend some time with family. And, like I said, that last day, we'll just kind of do whatever we're going to do. And then head it back to my mom's. We'll stay overnight there. And the nice thing is that Sunday is Mother's Day. So I will get to spend Mother's Day with my mom and with my wife, and we'll all be together for that. So it's kind of a nice, happy coincidence that we didn't really mean to do, but it happened anyway. So, which is great.
Claim it's efficient and deliberate, and they will not know.
So I also took Monday off of work too, because I'm like, I probably am going to need a recovery day.
We did that too when we came back. Previous trips, I underestimated how much having an extra day coming back from a Disney trip is valuable. And we did the same thing where I booked an extra day at the end of my trip, and it makes a huge difference, because you're not like, you're not coming down off of that Disney high and then trying to start work, right?
Exactly. That's like I kind of need that transition back into society,
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
All right. So that's my trip preview. Let's do our ad, and then we have some other weird stuff to talk about.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
All right, so the sponsor of this episode is DVC Rental Store. The DVC Rental Store, a World of DVC company, offers magical vacations at incredible value. Save up to 60% off retail rates at premium Disney resorts. DVC Rental Store now includes deposits as low as 25% at the time of booking and a built-in cancellation policy for every reservation. And as always, DVC Rental Store pays out the most to members looking to rent their points. Want to learn more? Go to dvcrentalstore.com/welcome home or call 1-855-DVC-RENT. That's 1-855-382-7368. And be sure to let them know the Welcome Home sent you. All right, so Smellephants is a made up word. We talked about this a long time ago. I feel like they announced this like a year ago.
And I know it's Smellephants, but I want to read it as smelly pants for some reason.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you pretend like the H isn't there, yeah, I mean it's also just a weird, like, because it doesn't really spell elephants either. It's a mess. That word's a mess.
Okay, so first of all, this news is a little bit older. This actually came last week, but because we didn't do an episode last week, we're talking about this now.
Yeah.
So this is a new thing that they're doing at Magic Kingdom Park. Which is this actually going to be there when you're there?
It seems like it. I mean, this got announced a long time ago. I remember us talking about it on the show. And listen, it's weird but kind of cool. I feel like I feel like Disney is known for pumping scents into different areas, and it's kind of weird that they're almost calling it out, because like you smell a bunch of stuff on Main Street, and Disney's piping those smells in, right? Like, and some of them are legit, but this they're just like straight out telling you is like, hey, we're gonna pump some scents out.
But the thing is that this is sponsored by Scentsy, which is the company that they use to do a lot of that scent stuff. So
sure. Yeah.
It's like you said, the fact that they're calling it out, I feel like it's like a sponsorship thing, which, it probably works out in Disney's favor that they get a discount on all the other stuff that they're getting Scentsy to do. But, they have like a promotional thing for them that, people realize that Scentsy is a company and all that. And it's kind of, it is kind of a weird thing for sure that it's like, let's go stand next to a statue and, with popcorn scent for a while.
Well, listen, I mean, but
I know it doesn't sound good on paper, but yeah.
I like the smell of popcorn, and there's also saying there's going to be churro and cotton candy. Okay, those are great smells. I mean, who doesn't like the smell of a churro or cotton candy even? I mean, those are good. And if this is going to be caramel popcorn, I mean, they're one of my favorite smells at all of Disney is walking into the caramel shop in Germany at the World Showcase. Yes. I mean,
I love that shop.
That's that smell is by itself, worth a trip to Epcot. I mean, and then my second favorite is of course the Main Street, the ice cream shop right there. That ice cream shop, you have that smell of like the freshly made waffle bowls and cones. Oh man. That's a great smell too.
In the same vein as this, like, piping in scents is, I have very distinct memories in my head of the Christmas parade when some of the floats come by and you just smell like gingerbread. They piped gingerbread out of the floats and you're like, whoa, like it was so. The interesting thing is that these scent things, like in my head, I always look at it as, when you hear about like artificial scents, a lot of them feel like when they're bad, like I don't know if you've ever had this where you go to somebody's house and they have like a candle or something. And it's like, that doesn't actually smell good, or it smells like chemically or something.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I know what you mean. It doesn't smell like a natural smell. Yeah,
exactly. But I feel like these things like Disney seems to, Scentsy and Disney seem to be very good at making it seem natural enough where you're not like wanting to leave the area, which would be funny if this thing actually like backfired spectacularly. It's like, it smells so bad that like nobody is in the area around these things.
I'm definitely going to have to check this out if it's happening while we're there. I mean, it said next month. It doesn't have like an actual date, but we'll have to see.
And I mean, Storybook Circus, like you said, because you're going to have young kids with you, like you're most likely going to be there. So it's a good opportunity to see if this is actually worthwhile.
My daughter likes a good scratch and sniff sticker. So, I mean, this is just like a scratch and sniff sticker, but in the air, just out. You don't have to scratch, and you don't have to put your nose up to anything weird. So, Okay, well, let's talk about this drone show now. So,
yes, more drone shows in places that you don't want them.
This is what's annoying me. Trevor, okay,
yeah, I wanted to hear this. Okay,
this is where I'm at. Like,
yeah,
and listen, don't get me wrong. They are. I already saw that they're testing the drone show at Disney Springs, and some people have been taking pictures and stuff like that. So it's getting there, right? But like, I'm pretty sure this heroic drone show that they have going at Disneyland, which is funny. I don't know why they're not just calling it like a Marvel drone show, because that's what it is. But they had, I don't know if it's the exact same show that they had at Disneyland Paris, but the one at Disneyland Paris was fantastic. I don't know if you watched any videos of that one, but it was really cool.
I did. This does not look the same as the one in Paris.
So it's a different one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it does say brand new drone show, right?
Yeah, because the one in Paris, like, it had some Marvel stuff in it, but it was a larger, just like Disney drone show. This seems very
so they had
Marvel
the one that was over the castle, but then they also had the one at the Marvel Land at Disney in Paris that was all Marvel themed. Like they did have one that was all Marvel themed. Yeah.
Okay, I never saw that one then. I only saw the one over the castle.
That one was like last year, maybe 2 years ago, and it was very cool. Yeah. But, this one is over at Hong Kong. It's going to be from April 26th to June 10th. They also just have they have the fun food. Like, they have an Iron Man burger, which I don't even know if I'd want to eat that with, like, the
looks
Iron
tasty.
Man. I mean, it does, but who wants to? It's a weird red bun. I don't know. That kind of creeps me out a little bit.
I mean, it's like the when they do, like, black and stuff like that. Yeah, it's it's a lot of dye.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with the Hulk churros. Like, those are really green.
I would eat it. I mean, I'm never going to say no to a churro.
I'm not denying that either. It's it looks fun, and like you said, the international parks always manage to do better food than I feel that we get in the parks here.
We get good. I feel like we get good quality. Just like they don't just do fun stuff with it, though. You know what I mean? Like,
right? Yeah, you're right.
It's I mean, they do it sometimes. It's just not as well as they do it in the other parks. I don't know why that is, but it's just
the creativity and presentation is what's lacking.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, that's all we have to talk about that. I want to talk about Food and Wine. Right. I'm not going to Food and Wine this year, but I want to talk about it anyway. At least I don't think I am. You never know. Things could change. So, it's interesting because and maybe I'm just misremembering this, but I feel like in years past that the Food and Wine's been starting in July, but I maybe I'm just misremembering this. I don't know why I thought it was July, but
it shouldn't be starting in July.
Yeah.
If it was, it should I think, it goes back to saying that, some of these festivals drag on way too long. And so, starting August 29th, I feel is reasonable because that's going right into like September, which is, you're coming up on fall, which is what I feel Food and Wine should be.
Well, okay. So wait, so I just Googled this. Yeah. In 2023, it started July 27th, a full month earlier, which I wonder why they're delaying it by a whole month. It's kind of odd because Food and Wine is such a big thing for EPCOT.
I feel people got tired of it. That's my take on it, is that I have to wonder if just because it ran for so long that because they do keep track of, people coming to the parks and, buying stuff and all that. I wonder if it hit a point where they weren't getting the engagement from Food and Wine that they wanted, which maybe, is a reason not to drag it out for too long because it makes it there's no demand around it. Right.
Yeah. Well, in 2022, they did it even earlier on July 14th. I mean, I feel like there was one point where it was almost running for like 5 months. Right. And this is, almost close to that. Right. But yeah, I get what your point is. Maybe they wanted to push it back because I don't know. It's just weird. They've been doing it in July for a little while now, and all of a sudden they push it back a whole month. I don't know the reason why, but yeah,
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's good to bookend these events and not make it that there is a perpetual festival going on at EPCOT, right?
Yeah. I think they want to get to that point, though, don't they? I feel like they almost want to because they're building all this festival space and you know?
Well, they are, but that also leaves space for them to do potentially other things in between, like special events and stuff that are not necessarily tied to, like I said, the problem I find is that between, you know, Festival of the Arts and then Flower and Garden and Food and Wine is that it feels like they could all be, like, I know that they're distinctly different and they offer different things, but if you're not paying as close attention, they all feel like the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's a bunch of food booths and, you know, shows and stuff. Like I can see why maybe they are shortening it up a little bit, and maybe you know they have to change it up, right? Like they have to do something to keep it interesting, or else people stop coming.
So interestingly enough, though, Trevor, like it used to be the Flower and Garden would go pretty much right up to Food and Wine, right? Like there was only like a couple week like gap between them. But Flower and Garden this year ends May 27th, and then Food and Wine doesn't start up till August. Yeah. Like, so they're going to have a full on 3 months with no festival whatsoever, which is interesting to me. Why?
So I'm reading this Food and Wine announcement where they're previewing stuff. And by the way, my wife would love this Figment bag that they have on here. Like that's awesome.
Always good Figment stuff. Yeah.
But they have a whole section here on Communicore Hall opening up. So I wonder if
this is interesting, Trevor.
Yeah. So I wonder if the thinking is, you know, it's a new space opening up. They don't want to open that up in the middle of festivals because it becomes confusing, right? You know, sure. they can't highlight, you know, hey, we have a new space, check this out. And again, like I said, that like I feel like because Communicore Hall is opening, they are specifically doing some stuff because I can't remember what they announced, but they said that there is going to be some stuff like as Communicore is opening, that they're going to kind of be like celebrating that opening, which makes sense why they would shorten up Food and Wine and Flower and Garden, because they actually want to highlight this space for a little while before they get back into the festivals.
Yeah, it's interesting. And that makes sense because the timing, you know, kind of matches up, right? So I do wonder if maybe this is just a temporary thing for this year, and then next year they'll get back to like having, you know, wall to wall festivals. Because I do think that the festivals, you know, keep EPCOT pretty busy. You know, like people go for these festivals, right? So
and if they're trying to open up this new space, and they actually say this in here too, is that you know, once Food and Wine Festival begins, this new space will add exciting, fresh elements to the festival. Stay tuned for more. So they do have a plan. Like they are doing different stuff this year, which is good. That you know, it's not just going to be the same. I'll be honest. It feels like the last couple of years have been very samey for these festivals. Like, you know, even when we like look at the food and stuff, it's like, okay, 90% of it's the same, and there's like one or two new things, right?
Yeah.
It feels like, you know, maybe this year you know, it sounds like they're going to announce some stuff specific to, you know, this is going on at Communicore Hall for the festival, which, like it's, you know, Disney's changing gears is what this feels like, which I'm not against. Like, you know, like I said, they need to keep these festivals interesting. And we also knew that, you know, this space was supposed to be part of their festival planning. So we're actually going to see that come to fruition here finally.
Can I present a ridiculous theory that I don't even think is true, but it just popped into my head?
Do it.
I love this. So what if they're planning to close Spaceship Earth for a long refurbishment like they were going to do before, along with Test Track closing, and they're thinking to themselves, okay, if we're going to close Spaceship Earth, like Epcot's going to get crazy for a couple months. Like, because everybody loves Spaceship Earth, right?
So cranking up the stuff going on at Communicore while they're...
I'm more saying like maybe we shouldn't have the draw of the festival when we're already probably going to have crowds because we're closing two things.
Oh, I see. So shorten up the festival because they know that
they're going to pull in crowds just from people wanting to take their last rides on the two things that they're closing.
That's an interesting theory.
I don't think it's true, but it just popped into my head because listen, I know they announced these really cool plans to redo Spaceship Earth, and it was one of those COVID casualties. I still think they're going to do something because they have to. like to Spaceship
Mm-hmm.
Earth. Like, I mean, it's seen better days.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It has to be somewhere on the docket that they're going to do it, but it seems there is definitely an order of operations to this, and there is planning around. They can't just, we all say, like, why don't you just fix it up? It's like they can't just close down a chunk of the park, especially something that is like really such a like
iconic.
Closing down Spaceship Earth is the equivalent of saying Cinderella's castle is under construction in Magic Kingdom.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like
exactly.
you don't just close that down without having something else in place to get people's attention. Like because it's just going to displace so many people if they did that. Right?
If they did that. But I mean, like I said, I haven't even seen that theory on the internet. I just had to throw it out there.
That's fair. And I mean, having this whole big space open is another people eater space. Like the intent is that these spaces are meant to, take up people, and it's close enough that, it could defer traffic from people that would normally be in line or around Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we'll have to see if that comes true. That might be, well, maybe you got some, it would be really funny if it was, you could claim you have a crystal ball if it does happen.
I like just making random, like, predictions. And then if they come true, it's like, oh, you're a genius. And if they don't, it's like, well, I never thought it was going to happen in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're hedging your bets. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So we're going to wrap up this episode with some food. We are going to have an episode next week, by the way, because we are going to do almost like a extra. It's not going to be a wait list. We're gonna just have it be like a regular episode, but it's going to be a little bit shorter.
So I guess it's not a wait list, but I mean it's going to be reckless speculation. Right?
Yeah, it's going to be the reckless speculation episode. Yeah.
So we are going to do an episode because Tom is going to be gone, but we're going to make sure we give you guys an episode to tide you over until Tom's back.
Yeah, because otherwise we would have been gone for like 3 out of the 4 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't want to do that. So yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we just will call that episode a waitlist. Because it is kind of waitlisty. Whatever. We'll figure.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But let's talk food. So this is May the 4th food. So this is actually like
I will be there for this.
Relevant to you food.
It is extremely.
Oh my gosh! Right? The very first milkshake with the Danishes. Why?
What are they doing?
That is so obvious. Why have they? I've not seen that before. Is that new? Like.
I think they've done it before. I mean, listen,
I don't remember seeing like 2 Danishes on the side.
The funny part is it's a salted caramel shake, right? Which I'm all about. I'll drink that with edible glitter. Ew, gross, but whatever. And then cinnamon rolls. I think it's kind of funny that they did that. I feel like they've done the cinnamon roll thing in the past for May 4th, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I guess I just don't remember. I remember, I guess the thing about the May 4th stuff is like the Wookiee cookie is always like the standout thing. I don't remember seeing the Danishes on the, just the way they're stuck to the side of the milkshake is so funny.
And I've had the Wookiee cookie. Because they actually had that all year at one point. But yeah.
Back when they were doing like the Season of the Force stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like they had that all year at one point. It actually says that the shake is not. It doesn't say new next to the shake, which means they had it before. Yeah. So, I want to know what's going on with the thing next to it, though. Like, what's going on there? What is that?
The mossberry biscuit is what it says.
The biscuit topped with what is that?
Ube and matcha icing. Ube microsponge cake, sprinkles, and dehydrated blueberries. You would not like that.
No, that's a whole lot of me not liking. Yeah, okay.
Some very different flavors. Further down at the milk stand, there is
more Leia themed things, I guess.
But they're using the blue and green milk with so it's a polystarch puff bread. Which, croissants topped with blue and green milk cracklin, served with yuzu passion fruit coconut dipping sauce. That might be a little extra. Have you tried yuzu before?
I have not.
Okay, so yuzu is very it's almost like I want to say like orange, lemon, and lime together. Like it's very citrusy, but it does I like it, but I guess if you don't like citrusy flavors, that may turn you off.
Like, and
it also served with like, this is going to be like a dipping sauce for a donut kind of, or, like a croissant. I guess orange and like orange flavors and donut. Yeah, I guess that kind of goes together.
Kind of works, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but the blue and green milk crackling, I don't know about that. Like that seems like a stretch. Like I feel like they could have not done that and it would have been fine. But yeah.
Let's go further down to some other new stuff. They have the churro lightsabers like they've had in the past. Yeah. This Stormtrooper cake from Emirates. Again, Emirates is like the most ridiculous things, and this looks very cool.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
It's just a straight up Stormtrooper helmet, chocolate chiffon cake, vanilla bean mousse, dark chocolate ganache, and cherries. I just want to eat that. I don't even care that it looks like a Stormtrooper helmet. I just want to eat that. That sounds amazing.
So you're going to you're going to Disney Springs for dinner.
And during this time, I will be there on May 4th. Yeah.
Do you pick one of these up and take it back to your room and like have it for dessert?
Sounds like a great idea. I'm not against it.
There's also these petite cakes, which also look very nice right below it.
The little, these are chocolate.
Sorry, not petite cakes.
Ganache.
Yeah, the ganache.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ruby chocolate and the white chocolate. I would go for the ruby chocolate because it's also the or no, actually, wait, they did that backwards.
Did they? Yeah.
So the ruby chocolate it looks like white chocolate, but it's the Death Star ganache.
Yeah.
And then the Rebellion one is the white chocolate.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's disappointing. I want the other way.
I'm definitely going to stop at Gideon's, by the way. That's going to happen. I'm going to go to Gideon's. Yeah. So how do we feel about this salvage Stormtrooper helmet bucket, the popcorn bucket? It's an interesting one for sure. And they don't really give you a good look at it either. I feel. Yeah,
I thought we had seen this before. Or we had talked, like they had announced this. Yeah. Which I like it because it's actually a bucket because it's literally just a helmet. Yeah.
But, exactly.
Yeah, it looks good. Like it looks like a like a fun you're carrying around like a beat up Stormtrooper helmet.
Yeah, pretty much. Anything else you want to mention here? Just scrolling down. I want to get to the next one, and we wanted to keep this episode really short today. So. Yeah,
I guess there's nothing really in Disneyland. Oh, actually, that Lothcat souvenir mug looks kind of cool.
That is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks actually it's kind of creepy. Like
it is a little creepy, right? Do you really want that staring at you? Like if like
I don't know if I would put that on my mantle.
Yeah, that's
what is this cup?
That is a good question.
The sap tap cup, is that what? Yeah, that's what that is.
Sap tap cup.
That's quite the crazy straw on it.
Yeah, it is. I feel like
I miss crazy straws.
I feel like I would get like winded trying to drink out of this thing. I would just be like, God, I just want to drink.
Takes you 5 minutes to get anything out of the cup.
Yeah, like if hopefully whatever they put in that is not okay. It's just a fountain beverage. Okay, so that should be fairly easy. But if they put like a thick milkshake, you would just I would die. I think.
Yeah, you would never have it. It would just stay in the mug. Yeah.
It would just be there until it got it to like full liquid state, and then I could drink it. But anyway. All right.
Okay.
Well, that's,
so
the fourth food. Yeah.
Yeah. So one last thing on here, which it's kind of, or I mean, it's cool, but it doesn't really apply to me. So Disney received their first Michelin star for Victoria and Albert's, that's kind of a really big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a very big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, because Michelin stars mean that's a pretty high end resort or high end restaurant. Sorry. But it's. I mean that's cool. I still don't know that I will ever go to Victoria and Albert's.
Yeah, we talked about that after I saw this article. I had this conversation with my family, and I was just like, I don't know, man. Like, me, I'm not adventurous. See, like I could see you doing because you're adventurous with your food, but like the rest of your family, I know is not as adventurous as you are, right?
Yeah.
So like,
I'm not going there by myself. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I am not adventurous at all. So I'd be like, hey, do we have chicken fingers on this 13 course menu? Like, can we get some ranch over here? You know, like.
I know you put a lot of time into this steak, but I'm really feeling chicken nuggies right now.
Yeah, we get some chicken nugs, maybe some French fries. Yeah, just regular French fries. You don't have to do anything fun.
The funny thing is I feel like Victoria and Albert's is the kind of place that if you went in and you like seriously said something like that, I feel like they might try to accommodate, but I also feel like, there is a certain pedigree to the restaurant where it's like, no, you're not bringing your beer in here that you bought at like Magic Kingdom.
I mean, like, listen, and it's also too, like, the menu is just like, it's just, I don't know. I'm just not going to do it.
It's fancy. It is a fancy menu. Like, I would love to try it. I'll be honest, I would, but it's so, like you said, it has all the problems of, getting other people convinced to go and try it, right?
100%. And it's also $295 a person starting, right? Like that's the beginning price. That's without like alcohol or anything. That's like,
I mean, I won't announce when I win the lottery, but you'll know if I did. Yeah. There will be signs.
Yeah.
If I'm going to Victoria and Albert's, you'll know.
Yeah, I mean, and so it also mentions in this article too that Victoria and Albert's is the sole location in all of Florida to have both a AAA 5-diamond and Michelin star, which is, I mean, pretty impressive considering that it's a theme park restaurant. Like, yeah. So
I mean, it's not a theme park restaurant. It's a
hotel
resort. Yeah, it's a hotel restaurant. I feel, even though it's still in the Disney bubble, I feel it is good to make that distinction because, the stuff inside of the parks, they are definitely catering to a different crowd because it is resort crowds, right? Whereas, things at the hotel, they do, I mean, obviously because of this, they do have the ability to make a more refined experience and to do things where it's expected that there is a dress code and stuff like that. So I feel there is a distinction between that. I wouldn't just write it off as like, well, it's at Disney, whatever. I feel it is fair to say this is a huge thing, and the fact that it is on Disney property does make it even more impressive because the large majority of stuff at Disney is actually more like targeted at tourist and theme park traffic, not fine dining, right? So
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. All right, well let's wrap this one up, Trevor. We're all
right.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up, and then, like I said, I'm gonna be at Disney. So listen, if you're at Disney, I will try to post pictures, and you can try to come find me. I will have pins. I'll have hats, and of course, I will give you one if you find me. But if you happen to be there, I think there's a couple listeners that might be there in the general area that I'm going to be there. So come by and say hi. I'm happy
for the tour guide leading 8 people around.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But yeah, I'm happy to give you a hat and say hi and all that fun stuff. So, come find me. I'll be there. So yeah, Let's wrap it up.
Okay. So as usual, if you guys want to reach out to us, you can always find us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. We love getting your questions and hearing your trip reports and all that kind of stuff. So, you can always find us on Gmail. If you'd like to find us on social media, you can find us on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. You can find us on YouTube as Welcome Home Podcast and on Instagram as Welcome Home Pics. Also check out our Facebook group, Welcome Home Disney Waitlist, where you don't have to just interact with us. We also have a whole bunch of listeners that love to talk about the show, love to share their own experiences, post stuff. They post memes and fun stuff, and it's just a great Disney group to be a part of. So if you're looking for a good Disney group, please come check that out. And if you'd like to support the show, you can go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com and check out our merch, which includes t-shirts and mugs and fanny packs and, all that great stuff. If you're looking for some stuff to, have around the house, but also, like I said, it helps support the show. It helps us just, keep things running because, it does. Yeah, it does cost money to, host this stuff. And, we just appreciate, people helping support the show so that we can keep doing it, because we've been doing this now for a while, and it's great that, people help us out with that by, purchasing stuff through the store. So, please consider having a look there. And like I said, you may find you just need a fanny pack. You never know. Like it's
we all need fanny packs. That's
exactly. and then also in the same vein, we do have a Patreon for the same reasons. You can go to patreon.com/welcomehomepod. We do have exclusive merch on the Patreon that you can't get on the store. So there's a different logo there that you can get that is exclusive to Patreon. And our Patreon supporters also get access to the Discord server, which is yet another place that we love talking with you guys. And there's, again, all kinds of great discussion that goes on Discord. And, we talk about the show, and also, other random things, Disney and not Disney related, because, it's just great to have other people to talk to about these kinds of things. So,
yeah,
if you'd like to check that out, please have a look at our Patreon. Last but not least, if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, leave us a 5-star review, because it does help more people find the show. And we do like seeing when people write us reviews on iTunes, because, it's nice to hear what people think about the show.
Yeah, and actually we have a couple reviews, but I'm going to read just one,
right.
And we'll save the other one for next time. This is one of my favorite ones in a while. This is a really nice compliment. This is from Podcast Area 51, which is a great username.
Nice, yeah.
And the title says, "Real people, not influencers. Tom, Trevor, and Damon are real people who go to Disney each year. They aren't local to Orlando. They aren't trying to become YouTube millionaires, and they have real jobs. They don't have to create content to keep food on the table. All of this makes this one of the best Disney podcasts. The guys are relatable, and their experience of Disney is like most of us. They aren't there every day. They need to make the most of precious time and spend their own hard-earned money, so you can trust that they are giving honest opinions. Keep up the great work, guys." I really like that.
That is very sweet of you, Podcast Area 51.
No, that's just, that's what we're that's what we try to do. You're right. We're not influencers. Mm-hmm. We're kind of terrible at social media, to be honest.
Yeah. I guess that's exactly it. We are just normal people that love going to Disney and talking about it. And
exactly.
I hope that, or obviously it sounds like that's coming across, and, I'm glad to hear that, you guys understand that we're doing this because we enjoy it, not because we're trying to, like you said, be the next YouTube millionaires.
We're certainly not going to, if we're trying, we're failing very hard at that.
Definitely. And I'm okay with that. I don't want to be a YouTube millionaire.
I agree. But also on top of that, don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. I just went to say Google Podcasts. I've been saying it for so long. Google Podcasts isn't a thing anymore. So Amazon
YouTube Music.
Yeah, exactly. YouTube Music instead of Google Podcasts. Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube Music. Just about any podcast app out there, you can listen to us. And like I mentioned before, we were only posting new episodes to YouTube, but now our whole back catalog is there. So you can listen to all of it on YouTube if that's the way you get your podcasts. Just a reminder to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, all opinions we express on the show are our own. So please consult your DVC representative or Disney cast member for more information about anything we talked about today. Huge thank you to our sponsor of this episode, DVC Rental Store, and of course, Worldload DVC for continuing to support and sponsor the show. Please check them out for DVC needs. Join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion. Of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Do a huddle when we hit its hair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl.